And welcome back to the Games Gamers. An economy in a game is really important to me. I know a lot of you right now are like rolling your eyes like, oh god, not this kind of talk right now. It's too complicated, and it's not. If you are an industrialist in every game that you've picked up, you've realized that you've played the game because there's something about the game that keeps you involved in the game. You're a numbers guy. You like profit. You like to do something with the profit. But the question then becomes, what does the profit do for you? Right? What is it really doing? Okay, so as it stands, the profit buys you more ships, items, equipment. It enhances your overall objective of, what is your objective, right? That's the allure of the game, right? Because a lot of people will say, well, there's no real objective. The game isn't giving it to me. It's kind of why I like games like Star Citizen, because you can make your own objectives. Let's probe it a little deeper. Perhaps it's helping to purchase a Hornet, right? And then you buy awesome gear for it, and then you can do bounty hunting, right? Great. Now you're bounty hunter and you're making missions off bounty hunting. But as an industrialist gamer, you're realizing that you're not making enough money bounty hunting or missioning in your new Hornet as you were when you're shipping things, point A to point B. So then as an industrialist gamer, you go, okay, well, that's not true. That's not really effective. It might be fun blowing things up, but as an industrialist gamer, you're trying to find like how to most effectively make money. That's what you do most times as an industrialist gamer. So perhaps then you buy a prospector and then you mine and you sell those goods. And you're like, wow, okay. And then you realize that you still made more money shipping things from point A to point B. And then you ask yourself, what is the most effective use of my time in terms of profit? And as an industrialist, you go back to trying to find what is the best way to bring in the most money in the game. And you realize that all of a sudden you are limited by the game's economic mechanics. And you realize that the only real way that you make the most amount of money is moving items from point A to point B. Now you're in a rut. Because then you realize that if you want to be an industrialist in the game, basically you're just shipping items from point A to point B all day. And then the game eventually becomes dull to you because you're essentially doing the same task over and over. So then you ask yourself, how do I expand upon this? Well, that's where the magic of a good economy in a game exists. Now we get into design, like of what we want from the economy. What are we going to get from Star Citizen? We're going to get more than this? Not quite sure. I mean, we want that to be, as an industrialist, we want more depth. Do we just fetch quests from point A to point B all day solo? Will we be able to expand on just that process by getting other members in our organization to replicate that and then bring more money in? Now you got something that's a little bit deeper, but then you need a communal wallet. So you can use profit more effectively as a collective. You're an organization. Will we be able to buy and sell with other players? All of a sudden, brings a little bit more depth to it. We're adding depth with these questions depending on what our answers from SIG, what our answers are going to be from SIG. This is, for me, the crux of the economic argument. And depending upon what our answers are, it will determine if gamers who love industry, who love economic gameplay, will stay playing Star Citizen. And that's important. Now that I've kind of set the format in which this talk will be framed in, let's talk about the SC economy now and what I'd like to see from it versus what we know we're going to get. And we also have to realize that it's malleable, that this is all we're in the design phase. Yes, we're like 8-9 years into the game and we're still saying we're in the design phase. That's a whole nother argument. I'm not going to get into that. What I'm going to say is that yes, in fact, the economy is in play. And it's important now to talk about these things because they are in the design process. So this notion that we're going to have like this AI controlled NPC driven economy, there's some merit to it, but it doesn't mean that there will be no player driven fundamentals within this AI controlled economy. So right now it's very bare bones and has no depth. And I really think that's primarily because Tony Z and those involved with economic gameplay are still wondering exactly how to implement any other mechanic other than the simple mission income and the most basic kind of buy sell game mechanics. I see comments on all the time talking about, you know, how SIG doesn't plan on having a player driven economy, and I laugh because without any type of player driven mechanic, you won't see any gamers that enjoy depth in their industrialist gameplay take the time to play the game. When I talk primarily to my audience, those who watch me that are economic focused, they laugh at the current industrial gameplay mechanics of taking a box from point A to Z, or boxes. And it's hard to say to these gamers to be patient, as it's solely the reason they look forward to the game, because they want the economic gameplay. I get their frustration, you know. The demand and supply right now, it's controlled directly from SIG. Simply put, right now, and hopefully in the future, it won't all be like under the iron fist of SIG. I get people that are scared, that think that people will manipulate pricing. But that is the economy, essentially. People will manipulate pricing in the economy, and guess what? If they manipulate one way or the other, you'll find a definite reaction from other people, real people, and they'll buy based upon whether they think it's an acceptable price. If it's too high priced, they won't buy it. Simply put, they won't do it. And if they do, they're definitely in need of that item. They definitely have the demand. They demand it no matter the price. They need it, so they'll buy it at a price that is maybe in your mind like, wow, I can't believe that it's being sold for that. Perhaps they're in a situation where they're in an outlaw system and they absolutely need a particular type of ship to get out, so they pay a premium. That's how the economy works. You know, and I go back to my friend the Eradicator's video where he's talking about ship rentals, and I think about what he had talked about, you know, the rentals not being really something that economically is a stable feature, and possibly why, you know, the rentals, as he had put it, aren't in the game yet. And I think to myself, if the items were carried by those rentals had a demand, and those items had a true demand where those items were used in the game by gamers, it's directly because those items inside have a demand that you would see rentals being either a good idea or a bad idea if it was cost effective, because there's an actual tangible use for those items. You know, these items in the game, if we're able to buy and sell to players, also brings about a more dynamic economy. I think we have to question the money-making models in regards to the economy as it stands in SC. And like I said, right now it's very bare bones. And I don't see that the economy will actually develop into anything deeper until way after Squadron 42 is released. And that's just unfortunately how it is right now. And I think that if SIG did focus on bringing more economic elements into the current game as it stands within the PTU, in the PU, I think what you would find is that you'd have a lot more players. I think you would have a lot more stable numbers, because those that enjoy industrial gameplay are hardcore and they will log in as much as possible if they enjoy the economy, if they enjoy that the mechanics that are implemented, they keep them there because supply and demand is true. And if they do intend to continue forward with a primarily AI component to the economy, and this, what I want to say, this programmed variable that is responsible for pricing can be realistic enough to simulate actual supply and demand, then I think, again, I think kudos to them for creating this mathematical AI equation that will simulate actual supply and demand. Perhaps they'll use volume as a metric. I'm sure they'll use volume, location, these types of these metrics that will help synthesize actual player demand. And what we're asking of SIG is very heady, down to all NPCs acting like human beings. I just don't think that's actually realistic. I think the easiest, most simplistic thing to say about a good, deep economy that the gamers love to play, that they'll come back to night after night, the most simplistic thing is just make it very simple. Supply and demand mechanics based upon actual demand. Like, is this item important in the game? Great, then there's a value attached to it that can be figured out by the people who play the game. My opinion, again, that's more player driven than how the current consensus of how the game's going to be. Don't think that it's going to be 100% exactly the way that the developers say it's going to be. They've already showed us that they've changed directions numerous times in terms of the design of the game. Just because you've heard the repetition from all the content creators that the game will in fact be 90-10, the 90-10 split. I hear that all the time, that there'll be 9 NPCs to one player in terms of, the economy, which I don't think is accurate. I think that's more of a population thing of the game. 9 NPCs does not particularly mean that all 9 NPCs will be involved in economic function within the game. I don't think that's realistic. But I do think that the way it's currently planned, that there will be more NPC AI control over the economy as a policing force, so that things don't get out of hand when it comes to pricing, which is ridiculous, because if they got out of hand, nobody would buy it. The argument is there's going to be one guy that comes in and just manipulates everything and be the king of everything. That shit doesn't stand. If there are mechanics in the game that let you fight that, it'll be fought. People will fight the hell out of that, and then you'll have a stability. The fun part of any game is the chaos in the game, because that brings the action. Some people would disagree with me. Some people just go, oh my god, I can't handle the chaos. No god, just want to do my go explore, go have fun, go do things that keep you away from that chaos. It's space. It should be a little bit dangerous. If you feel like that's griefing, then maybe there should be a talk about, areas that are a little bit safer to fly in versus other. And I think that's what they're doing with the law system. I think the law system, in essence, is creating safe areas to be if you don't want to be quote unquote griefed. You have to remember that Chris Roberts actually likes being a pirate in a game, which, that was one of the main reasons I was like, ooh, Star Citizen, because you don't have to be a douche to be a pirate. You can be a pirate with class. But anyhow, I thought this was a great talk about the economy, because it needs to be said, it needs to be talked about. Not enough people really get into it like this. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks so much. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I will link my friend the Eradicator's video where he talks about rentals. The economy. I know the economy videos don't get as much views, but I'm not worried about the views. I give a shit about the views. I got great patrons here that support the channel. And thank you to all my patrons out there. You guys are wonderful. And I will give an honorable mention to Mike Philbin, who runs an SC community. And I'll put his link down below in the description as well. And he approached me and he talked about, you know, I would like to have an actually exclusive video done about is it worth it to do missions? You know, like the cost of a mission. You know, you got to think about how much it's going to cost to do a mission as far as fuel, as far as ammo, the equipment that you would need to complete the mission. And, you know, going out into the future, thinking about the mission types that are going to be available to us and how cost effective it is to actually mission. And I told him, interestingly enough, I would love to do the video, but I always viewed missioning, grinding, questing, whatever you want to call it, the most boring, static component to any economic gameplay. I think that really, and this is what I told him, I said, I would love to do what it costs to mission if in fact there are better, deeper economic game mechanics within Star Citizen. Once I start to see more depth from the Star Citizen economy in the game, then I think I will go ahead and do that video for Mike, because then it becomes a comparison between, like, look at how boring and static this is. Yes, you can get involved. You can get involved with the NPC storyline if you want, but I've never been one to think that that was very exciting. You know, Squadron 42 with the offshoot game, or the original promise made by Chris Roberts to create Squadron 42, which is the solo-based NPC, or you're with NPCs. It's a single-player game. Maybe it'll, you know, they'll expand it out, make a co-op. I'm not quite sure if they still plan to do that. But that type of game right there is for, you know, missioning. You know, you want to mission and stuff, you want to choose, you want to make choices, have a storyline unfold in front of you. That's Squadron 42. PU, I'm not going to be missioning much. I really won't. I don't do it in Elite Dangerous. It bores the hell out of me. You know, it really is not my type of style. I don't like to do it. But if I want that kind of gameplay, I'll play in Squadron 42. I will wait to do that video until I actually see the deeper economic gameplay that I'm hoping is going to be put in Star Citizen. And then my argument and the topic of the video won't be just, is it cost effective to mission, but it'll be like, is it even worth it? Because if they put these types of game mechanics that most industrialists want into the game, where you're actually able to have the depth that you want as far as trading with other players, buying and selling to other players, true supply demand economics, then the true industrialist gamers won't even look at missioning to make an income, unless the bonus is ridiculous, or the storyline's so amazing and the cinematics are so eye-boggling that it's like, well, yeah, of course I'm going to play this, because, you know, this is essential to elevating to another level, or something of that nature, which there's not going to be any of that in Star Citizen. There's not going to be like leveling or skilling. There is none of that. But anyhow, I think I've talked enough. And like I said, links down below. Thanks everybody for listening. If you're at the end of this video, and I say this on all my log videos, so some of them, I will say this: congratulations. you're true industrialist. You're a true industrialist gamer, and I appreciate the fact that you just sat through all this and you said, hey, what else am I gonna do? I'll just listen to this dude. Why not? And you're a true fan. Thanks so much. The one right now listening, ones, hopefully more than one. That would be really sad if there was only one of you. But thank you so much. And I'm going to be updating you as to Mom's health and everything that's been happening in my real life on my Patreon page very shortly. But thank you for continuing to be a fan and a supporter of the channel. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much, and I will see you on the next vid.